argument would be that we're applying neutral applicability because we're banning all mass gatherings. And we're banning worship services because they're mass gatherings. They would violate neutral applicability when it comes to allowing churches to be open for people to go in and pray on their own, because they allow similar functions to continue. I think that'd be the government's argument. I see that argument, but still it's the government telling the church about whether or not its services are essential. Only the church has that authority. But I have another problem, and this is where you were getting there, just to make sure we get there, is the government saying anyone's services are essential. This is a brand new thing since this pandemic broke out. It's never been done before. And there's so much subjectivity involved in what would be essential for some people and for others. So the role of the government is to say what is safe, and you have to abide, and it's basically, I heard you say this too, abide by these safety standards. And if you can abide by these safety standards, you can continue to function. If you can't, then you wouldn't be able to. If you could comment on that.
Under the current state of constitutional law in the United States, the essential test is this neutrality and general applicability standard. And so if a comparable risk is being treated in a particular way, that same rule is being applied to the church under the First Amendment as currently interpreted, I think the government is very likely to prevail.
May I ask you a question?
That hasn't actually been the standard for most of our history. It was a recent, rather dramatic, in my opinion, unfortunate decision back in 1994 that adopted that view. It used to be that free exercise of religion was treated as an especially protected constitutional right, and that the government, before being able to entrench upon that right, had to be able to show not only that it was serving a compelling governmental interest, which I think the epidemic almost certainly would qualify, but it's also doing so in the least restrictive possible way. And that would require, a fairly sensitive examination of what exactly is being prohibited, and what are the alternative ways in which public health can be protected. That, I think, would be a more religion-friendly regime. A number of states, I think, I forget now the number, 37 is the number that sort of comes to my mind, have enacted what are called Religious Freedom Restoration Acts, which restore that old standard as a matter of state law. California is not one of them.
Archbishop, did you have a question? You seemed to interrupt at one point and want to say something, or do you feel like you've had your question answered?
About the comparable safety issue. So what is essential versus what is safe? So the government can say mass gatherings are not essential. That includes worship services. But you could have as you were saying earlier, Professor, you could have a worship service that in the church is safer than a hardware store or grocery store, even though it's not the same type of a thing. People are going to a place to buy something that's not a convening of people. However, the church would be safer than a crowded grocery store.
Yes, and I think in that case, the church has a very good legal claim.
Thank you. That's very helpful to know.